Hello and welcome to An Idol Called Food. I'm your host, JT Tapias, and in today's episode, we're going to interview a good friend of mine, Adriana. Adriana and I had a conversation on Thanksgiving lunch. Her mom came over for Thanksgiving lunch, and we had some conversations about weight loss and her struggles, and I thought that the conversation was so powerful that I wanted to share it with you guys, and she was gracious enough to allow us to interview her. And so I believe you're gonna get some incredible nuggets from this particular interview. I'm gonna ask that you get a pen and a paper, you take some notes, because there are some practical things here that you can put into action and get things going ASAP in a very efficient way. And so don't miss out. I'll see you on the other side. Hello and welcome to An Idol Called Food. I'm your host, JT Tapias, and in today's episode, we have a guest, a friend, and we recently got into a conversation at Thanksgiving. Before we go there, let's introduce you. So tell us a little bit about you, Adriana.
My name is Adriana Cruz. I am a marketing professional. I just graduated with my bachelor's, and I'm very excited to be here with JT today. We're talking about nutrition and weight loss and what I've been through so far. Awesome.
Yeah. So you guys came over for Thanksgiving, and we got into some interesting conversations. And it was interesting because some of the things that you were mentioning are things that I'm used to hearing. I've been in the weight loss and fitness space now for almost 2 decades. And I hear women struggling with very similar things. And I said, why don't we do an interview? I think this would be super, super helpful. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your weight loss journey and how that all has happened for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've struggled with weight loss for quite some time now. I started having a lot of hormonal imbalances when I was about 13. So it's been a constant struggle of finding a good balance between diet and exercise. And I'm currently 21. I am at an average weight now, but I'm still struggling with hormone imbalance. So I've tried implementing diets more, changing my mindset, and implementing either walking or actual heavy lifting exercises.
So you started with challenges, or at least you started to recognize these challenges at the age of 13. Mm-hmm. You're now 21.
Yep.
So it's been quite a bit in this journey, and you've seen some weight fluctuations. How much of this would you say, Adriana, has to do with mindset?
Everything has to do with mindset. I mean, I've had so much stress between college and high school, working full time, family. It's a lot. So definitely the way that you think about things has a huge impact on what actions you take. So for me, if I was really stressed, I would stress eat, or I would feel not really well to go up and exercise. So it's a huge part.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, this is what we talk about inside of the Empty Your Bucket nutrition plan. The fact that, 80% of it is the cognitive aspects of it. And so you mentioned that whenever you feel stressed, whenever you are bored, right, you have a tendency to reach for food. And I smile because, I think I repeat this over and over and over in all my videos about how people, generally it's not physical hunger. Have you been able to distinguish the difference between physical and emotional hunger?
Absolutely. There was a test I did to really figure out if I was hungry, if I was bored or stressed. And most of the time it was that I just didn't have anything to do and I just needed some sort of relief. So eating was that relief for me.
Sure. So I always tell people that the acid test to know whether you are physically or emotionally hungry is that if you can eat chicken and broccoli, you're physically hungry.
Yeah.
If if you're craving a bag of chips or ice cream or cookies or any of those things, and that's all you want to eat, that's generally emotional hunger. Do you think, and we don't have to get into the details, but do you think at the age of 13 something drastic happened in your life that you started to sort of mitigate emotions through food?
Not really. It was just more of the food that we have here in the US. It's very high in salt and sugar, and that for a young girl transitioning is very, very difficult.
Right. So you started, let's say, your hormonal shift right around 13. And that's when all the big changes.
Between 10 to 13.
Okay. Yeah. And that's when all the hormonal changes started to happen. You started to get all these cravings.
Yep.
So 13 to 21. Right now, you mentioned as we were chatting, you said you had gotten on this medication.
Yeah,
What
so I
medication?
started taking phentermine. I started off with 15 milligram, and it went really well. So the doctor said, let's move up to 30 milligrams. And it's really just a pill that changes the mindset of, am I really hungry? I need to exercise more. I need to implement more of a diet. And it's really helped a lot, but it's more than just taking the pill and having it solve all your problems. It's also, seeing how once I get off the pill, what's my solution to keeping my weight?
So is the medication there to mitigate anxiety?
No, it's just to reduce the amount of cravings that I have.
Okay. Do you know from a chemical standpoint, like where it works? Does it work? Is it dopamine receptors? Is it enhancing dopamine? Or is it more of a, I don't know, it's calming down your emotional brain? Do you know how it works?
It has something to do with the brain, and it just sends the signals that you're not
satiated.
Really hungry. Yeah.
Right, that you're satiated. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And you've been successful with that, right?
Yeah. So I started in August. We're now in December, and I've lost quite a bit of weight.
Right.
But it's also been, I've tried not taking the pill for, 2-3 days, and my mindset's still the same, even when I'm not on the pill, because my body's adjusted to it. So once I get off the pill, I can start, having this normal, healthy routine, and it's not just depending on, okay, I'm not going to eat food today because I don't want to gain weight.
Yeah,
right?
Just punishing yourself or doing any of the hard things. What's the game plan, though? Because one of my big constructive criticisms towards weight loss medications, things such as Ozempic, all these weight loss medications that are now very popular, is that, okay, great, it helps you mitigate hunger, but then what's the game plan when you come off, right? Because if we're not changing lifestyle, if we're not making lifestyle modifications,
it all comes back.
It comes back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
Do you have a game plan?
Yeah. So the doctor actually wanted me to stay on the pills for a year at least. And I told her I would just want to do 3 or 4 months to see how my body reacts to it. And it's reacted great. But I don't want to have that dependence of having a pill that I need to take every day.
Right.
So definitely just changing my mindset. So I've practiced, what is it going to be like once I get off the pill? So just making sure that I'm having enough protein, enough veggies, enough fruits, implementing more walking, starting to get back into heavy lifting, hitting the gym, and controlling the time limits that I eat. So starting, if I start early in the morning, I want to do a 12 to 16 hour fast, but making sure that I'm not just consuming pure sugar or super salty foods so that I can maintain my weight.
In that eating window. Right. You mentioned also that at some point you decided to get on the, crazy cardio bandwagon and you started doing all this cardio and you actually gained weight.
I did, yeah. So I had actually lost 3 pounds prior to not doing any cardio, just doing some walking. And then I started implementing cardio and doing running on the treadmill for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. And I gained 3 pounds back plus an extra 2. Because it was boosting my cortisol levels. So it didn't help out at all.
And increasing your hunger most likely, because those calories that go out and at that extreme usually come back in at an extreme.
Exactly.
I love the plan. I love what you have as a game plan. I think if I were to give you any advice, I would say definitely the walking. I love walking for weight loss. I think walking is one of the most powerful physical movements that any human being can do. It's so beautiful because you can do it every day. It's very low impact. And yet, you're tapping into glycogen storages, which is what we want to do when we're looking to decrease body fat and lose unwanted weight versus running, sprinting, biking, or doing any of those things. Another thing you mentioned that I think is super important, especially for females. Females have like this kind of dislike for protein, whereas guys can eat protein at whatever time. You can wake up a guy at 4 a.m. and give him a steak and he'll eat it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas women, they don't like protein as much. I really think it's a hormonal thing. But that being said, in my experience in 2 decades of doing this, what I see is that people in general that eat more protein are healthier and leaner. And I think it has to do with the fact that protein is that macronutrient that doesn't spike as much insulin as the other macronutrients, and it keeps you satiated. Yeah. So therefore, you're not grabbing this and grabbing that. Mm-hmm. You said eating more vegetables, which is huge as well. Having fiber in your diet is extremely important. So your digestion is on point. Yeah. The hydration component, and then I heard you say lifting heavy. Mm-hmm. The only challenge I have with lifting heavy, okay? I know you didn't ask me for advice, but I'll share. The only challenge I have with heavy lifting is that it mimics the heavy cardio stuff that you were doing before, in the sense that you're going to be at the gym, you're going to burn at least 500 to 800 calories per workout. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes people would say, well, that's a good thing, JT, right? Because I'm burning calories. But not all calories, I like to say, not all calories are made in heaven. Not all the burnt calories at the gym are the type of calories you want to be burning. So if you asked me and you said, hey, I definitely want to do some kind of resistance training. One of the things that we talk to people about inside of the Empty Your Bucket nutrition plan is that the first 6 to 8 weeks, we don't even think about weights because we're dialing in nutrition, right? Okay. And that is such an uphole of your life that it requires so much brain power to be able to discipline yourself and self-control, mm-hmm. that oftentimes if you're doing all of those things, what ends up happening is you don't do any of those things well, versus hyper-focusing on one thing, mm-hmm. and then letting that grow. And so when we get to week 8, people have all these habits instilled. They're kind of automatic at that point, and then boom, we transition into weightlifting, and then we become very efficient with weightlifting. Yeah. You're only at the gym for 30, 45 minutes max, and you're going all out. Right? You're either doing HIIT training, high intensity interval training, which is great. I love it because it's efficient. You're working out different muscle groups in one workout. And then you only have to be there 2-3 times a week. Yeah.
I used to do a boot camp where I used to do HIIT training, and it was about maybe 30 to 45 minutes, mm-hmm. and it was really effective. Yeah. Awesome. So hopefully I'll get you to change your mind about heavy lifting. This has been awesome. I just wanted to have a brief conversation with you. When we met on Thanksgiving, we started interacting, and I said, man, you are basically, you're going through all the bullet points, mm-hmm. that most women, struggle with and that come to our program. And so we're going to be talking more. And I'm eventually I'll convince you to come over to our program, and I know you're going to do some pretty amazing things. So thank you so much for allowing me to interview you, and I wish you all the best. Of course, I'm going to be the first one to see what happens after you come off of this medication, and I'm always going to be here to answer any of your questions. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep it real.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something out of this small conversation, but I think it was important for me to share this conversation with you, because I know a lot of you guys on the other side are struggling with some of these things. And hopefully we planted a seed, and you understand that there is hope on the other side, that if we do things right, if we find coaching, if we have someone hold us hyper accountable, that these things are very, very possible. So I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. More importantly, I hope you put it to action. If we're not friends yet and you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so that we can stay connected. I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.